world that goes back to our culture.
We weren't on. We just got on right now.
Are you shitting me?
No.
What do you mean?
We never had to go live.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't. See now how it says the end.
Oh my God.
So we just did a lot of talking. Okay, so we just did a lot of talking. So we're going to kind of go back because no one heard it.
Are you shitting me?
You know, I'm not shitting.
No, I think they all heard us.
No, they didn't. Look, see, why are you late? Yeah, we're not late anymore. We weren't late. We just started talking. See, live, only 30 seconds.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had actually really good in-depth conversation.
I just had a deep conversation.
I know. And the crazy thing was it started by me telling him that he had bad gas the last time that we did the interview. And I appreciated him watching what you ate today. And you told me
that you're a dickhead.
Right.
And that you shouldn't say that shit, which is a lie.
Right. But
because it was you.
Right.
And literally you destroyed my house.
But then we were talking about this is the first post-election live Q&A, and a lot's happened since. I think that we'll get back into because I want you to go back to what you were talking about, but I think that a lot has happened certainly in the financial markets, a tremendous amount. We've seen certainly the markets took the outcome of the election extraordinarily well. We saw the following day, the Dow was up almost 1,500, NASDAQ was up huge, the S&Ps were up huge. Metals did not take it all that well. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I think I want to just get back to what Andy was saying because he was very, very focused. He was laser focused. He was in the zone.
I was kind of
right. So
now I'm very upset.
We're gonna take a little step back.
You're supposed to do this, man. You're supposed to be the tech.
I was just trying to get.
You're like Gilligan. You're a tattoo.
I was trying to get Mr. Rourke.
Right.
I mean.
Call me Skipper.
Yeah, I was just trying to get you prepared for this, and I think.
But I've had like 7 podcasts today, and now I just did a whole podcast worth of dissertation. You're telling me it wasn't recording?
It wasn't. Well, it wasn't live.
Man.
But you know what? It was so good. It's like your putts. They're so good. I want to see another one. So what we were talking about, Andy was filling us in on a little bit of life growing up in Minneapolis, and he said certainly it wasn't Queens, where I'm from. And I'll let you take it.
That's just to me the part of the irrational exuberance is people hoping we get back to
normalcy.
Normalcy. You know, our culture has been whitewashed in many respects, and I always say I am a patriot, and I am so grateful I was born in this country. I'm the least likely person to have achieved what I have, and the only reason I've achieved it. Well, I shouldn't say the only reason. There are 2 things. There's relationships, and that's a big thing. And it's been one of the biggest things for me in business has been relationships. And I think we've kind of grown away from that also during the pandemic. We don't have those relationships. We don't work together any longer. We're all at home. We were isolated for a long time, but it was living in bizarro world. I used to say to my wife, we're not moving out of Minnesota. She lived in Beverly Hills before she and I were together, and she's like, well, what are you doing in Minnesota? Why are you still there? And my family's there, my business there. We're not moving. My friends are there. I've been there my whole life, and I love Minnesota. It's great.
It was home.
It was home, and it was safe, and it was friendly, and it was Midwest, and it was the values that you would want your daughter to bring home a boy who had Midwestern values. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. and being on this side, watching the cancel culture, watching the censorship, having to be careful of the things that you said so people's YouTube channels weren't taken down. Sarah Westall, super nice lady from Minnesota, GoDaddy stripped her domain name over things that they deemed shouldn't be said. And, what happened to free speech, what happened to all of the ideals that this country was founded on, in particular, I hate the fact that it's not a merit-based society, or hasn't been for a long time. It's about equality rather than equal opportunity. And I think that's what everyone is gravitating towards. That's what and rightfully so, there should be huge optimism there. But this is ultimately an opportunity for metals. And I say that, I did an interview with Gregory Manarino today, and he said the same thing, that this is a Trump trade for sure. Cryptos, stocks, things that will benefit certainly from from this new Trump trade of low interest rates and a weak dollar and lack of regulations or rollback of regulations, not just in terms of mining and oil drilling, but also bank regulations, which is the scary part, because they want to roll back the regulations that will allow the banks to be reckless once again. And that's the scary part. But I think people, why you've seen such a move, a knee jerk. I mean, in terms of metals, look, you had massive short positions on COMEX and the LBMA. They were killing these banks. And I think it was a perfect opportunity for them to capitalize on this euphoria to push the price down a little bit, get all of the selling by the funds, repositioning of all of the funds into either short positions in metals or into things like, things like Bitcoin or things like stocks that ought to do very well.
Let's kind of let everybody in and explain why I think it happened. Number one, I think first and foremost, the most important thing and why we saw metals decline rapidly was a huge, sharp increase in the dollar.
Yeah.
You're liking that.
Yeah.
You're liking that.
I can see now.
You see the gift?
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a five,
it's very nice of you to give me a towel. I appreciate that.
But it's a very special towel.
Yeah. The dollar got really strong.
People sold off fixed income instruments, which of course then made yields go higher. And people then take their monies out of the fixed income instruments and put them into riskier, what they deem riskier, instruments like the equities, take them out of metals, because generally speaking, in the environment, when you have higher interest yielding instruments, people put money in those so they can get the yield. And usually in a low interest rate environment, we get more of the metals.
Well, and I'd like to address that real quick. And that's a good point, because, they're trying to say that because the yield on the 10-year Treasury is going higher, it's not good for gold. Well, that's bullshit to the nth degree. Gold was going up in the face of 6-month Treasuries at 5%. And that to me is something where you would think that's a real challenger to gold, where you can get with a 6-month duration, a 5% interest rate from a Treasury. But when you think about anyone foolish enough to hold a 10-year Treasury at just under 5%, you got to be out of your mind. And I don't care what they try to tell us that inflation's at 3.5. Shadow stats will say add an 8 to that. So we're closer to 11 or 12% inflation across the board. Who wants to trade? And this is why you're seeing the 10-year sell off and gold for the last 2 years, march higher, because through the sanctioning and the weaponization, these countries are reluctant to hold our treasuries of any duration. I think they're uninvestable. And instead, they're buying gold, which is outperforming it and has no risk, no counterparty risk. That's not going to change. In fact, the environment that Trump has us in is one of massive inflation and lower interest rates, which lowers the purchasing power of the dollar. This is the Cantillon effect, where the wealthy people get wealthier because they have access to the money and are able to put it into assets that go higher, like Bitcoin, like bank stocks, like the Dow,
like Tesla, like all these riskier assets.
And when they make all this money and want to buy stuff like the new boat or whatever it is, the new Ferrari, whatever they want to buy, that money then goes out of the equities into the system and gets spent and trickles down to the low and middle class people in the form of price inflation. As all of that money comes into the system, the wealthy got wealthier and their assets went higher. They don't care about the inflation, but the poor and the middle class, who are having a harder time staying middle class, are the ones that are more disproportionately affected. And that's what we will see, along with what I think is a massive, massive, massive unresolved problem in the banking industry, especially as 10-year treasuries go higher. With what happened at the Bank of Lindsay, to me, it's a trial balloon. They're going to let a bank blow up. And it's interesting. I've been saying publicly, and to you too, that I thought Bank of America would be the one that they would sacrifice, largely because Ted Butler talked about their short position in gold and silver for a year or two before he died. God rest his soul. He was saying that 1 billion ounces short in the OTC market in silver and 45 million ounces short of gold.
We know that it can't be JP Morgan.
Well, no, I mean, he was able to somehow, through going through the records, say it was them. And then when Warren sold $12 billion worth of stock, I mean, it became very obvious. Well, Gregory Mannarino he and I were talking, he thinks the exact same thing for different reasons, that it will be Bank of America, but
the outcome
is a save. And as rates on the 10-year go higher, these banks, which loaded back up on treasuries thinking it was safe to come back into the water, again, are watching the 10-year treasury go higher and their bonds be worth less unless there's a big debt problem. They want to consolidate the banks. They do. Powell's told us there'll be bank consolidations. What they did in Lindsay, Oklahoma is a trial balloon. 50% of the uninsured money is gone. And instead they bailed out Oprah and the Silicon Valley tech startups to the tune of hundreds of millions, if not billions, in uninsured deposits. But the little podunk Lindsay, Oklahoma, 7 million in uninsured deposits, half are gone. So when you talk about things being great in the financial system, they're not. And in fact, I think that Trump's policies will make this country safer, will make this country arguably better, but it doesn't change what we must go through in terms of paying the piper. And all they're doing by lowering rates and having a weak dollar and Trump would like negative rates is to reignite the inflation and the asset price dislocation from reality. It doesn't end well in the end at some point. My biggest fear, Kevin, honestly, my biggest fear is that they're setting him up to pull the rug. We talk about the reverse repo market. It's almost down to zero. That was a slush fund for banks who needed liquidity or anyone in the overnight market to get liquidity. We talk about the BTFP program, the Bank Term Funding Program. It's over.
Yep.
That was a slush fund. So the liquidity in the system is drying up. And at the same time, you're seeing rates on the back end of the curve go higher. So yeah, it's one other thing. Typically, when you see a Fed lower rates, it's not because the economy is great. It's because they're trying to fight a recession. They're just not telling you. I mean, it's obvious. We're being lied to tremendously. And that's part of the bigger problem, is that Trump is inheriting a book of economic numbers that are a bunch of lies. Unemployment's a lie. Inflation is a lie. They changed the definition of a recession. Everything has been a lie that comes out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It should take the L out of it and call it the bullshit,
Correct.
Not the BLS, the BS.
Right.
So in a very roundabout way, this is not reason to be distraught. Gregory Mannerinos thinks it's the biggest value and the biggest gift you've ever been given, in that metals will sell off in favor of these risk-on assets. So,
and by the way, I agree wholeheartedly, because again, as fast and as high as it goes up, what we know is it can come down a lot faster and a lot harder. And
right.
that's the bigger fear. I mean, truth be told, gold was sitting at an all-time high. Silver was sitting at a 14-year high. We're not even 10% or so off of those highs. So, I mean, look, we're still over 30.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge on silver. I think that's a huge milestone.
The problem also is perception, because perception is reality. And the perception is that Bitcoin's eating gold shorts. And from a standpoint, it is. But it's interesting, and I'm not a Bitcoin basher, that, and
Yep.
I in fact, I think it's wise. We should all be in the same camp. It's much better to be complementary and on the same team rather than adversarial. But
I think the people that own gold own it for the same reason.
But who owns gold and who owns Bitcoin? The central banks own 100%. Gold and they don't own Bitcoin, and it's like they're pushing everyone. I mean, if you look at it from a contrarian standpoint, and I think about these things and try to rationalize. It's weird that there's a tremendous amount of push into Bitcoin and very little talk about gold, yet the central banks are buying gold like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you don't hear that narrative. You hear about Trump talking about a strategic Bitcoin account. You don't hear about them, back and I think
you don't hear certainly about the deficit on 4 years that we're going with silver. No. You don't hear that. They just Bitcoin overtook the entire market cap of silver just recently.
You want to talk about a potential rug pull, a devastate, and this is what Peter Schiff says. Now, again, I don't want people to think I'm anti-Bitcoin, because I'm not. I try and think of both sides. If you don't think of both sides, you're an idiot. It's like if you only are married to your side, then you learn more and more about less and less till you know everything about nothing. So I try and play both sides, but if you want to be contrarian, it's kind of scary when you think about what could happen as more and more people jump into the FOMO trade without understanding it and what can happen.
I think one of the things that we're going to find is that people, I think at some point, are going to realize that what Trump is inheriting and the problems that we currently have now are way bigger than one individual, one administration in one 4-year term.
Correct.
I think it's very, very naive to believe that just because, Trump will become our next president again, that all the problems are going to go away.
No, they're not.
And I think that they're there. And like you said, certain problems that are really plaguing our economy or world, they're not just going to go away. Even if we get peace in the Middle East, even if he's able to solve some of the biggest issues that we have currently, there are still certain issues that can't be undone. I mean, again, we see you. Yeah, no, you can say oh shit too. We see you. We see you. We hear you. Now we see you bending over now. And, yeah. All right. So, Jana, as she was just leaning down, I think she was looking for something.
She's new, man.
Yeah. But let's get there. I did say someone put quick. Yeah, you can go ahead. Go ahead. I'll stop. I have seen platinum a lot on the board, so we might want to.
Yeah, I like platinum a lot. I think there's a lot to be said for platinum. The distortions in the price of platinum are very similar to what we find in silver. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if I can, let me see here. Hold on. Just 1 second here. One reason I like platinum, let me see if I can do this.
Question is,
I know what the question is. Let me see if I can share something here. I don't know if I can do it, if it will let me.
Can't go to window.
Okay, and where did it go? Let me turn this back on and do this. Okay, so
You see it? There you go.
here we go. Can
Sure.
everyone see this? When we talk about platinum, you can see these right here are, I've shown this slide a bunch. Those are, the red line are the big 4 commercial banks, and the green line are the 4 plus the other 4. So these are 8 Western commercial banks in their short position on COMEX. You can see the silver short position. It's the largest concentrated short position of any commodity traded on COMEX, and shortly only second to platinum, or only first to platinum. Platinum is only second to silver.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to say it's
I
been a
think
long
that
day. So you got a massive short position in platinum and a massive short position in, that's all I wanted to share, in silver. Both are amazing deals. Russia is going to be spending something to the neighborhood of $900 million over the next month. Every day they're spending 40 or 50 million, whatever that works out to, or 35, 40 million in silver and platinum and palladium, which had a big jump the other day, to add to their stockpile. And the majority of the metal is mined in South Africa and Russia, platinum and palladium. I'm not a big palladium guy, but platinum I think has amazing upside. So yeah, I would say to you, platinum is a great deal, and reach out to us. We can get it. But I'll be honest with you, I had 2 orders last week for 500 ounces of platinum each. These are old big clients, and all I could get were 2025 allocations of Maple Leafs and Britannias, and it's really hard to get.
Well, you had bought all the Eagles that we had already.
I bought Platinum Eagles for myself, actually, and because I think it is a good value, but the platinum market is really tight, and my trader said to me, look, if the guy wants us, you got to let me know now, because all the 2025 allocations are coming out. We got to buy it now. So you have the mints, the primary mints are really, really bad at producing platinum coins. We can get them. The bars are easy, the 1 ounce Swiss bars, but I do like the trade. I think right now it's a hell of a value.
I just want to put this one up because I think it's important. Charlie, I think that you're right. And I think that there's something to be said.
Of course.
That, Warren Buffett's certainly a fairly smart guy. I think that we'd all agree with that.
I think it's even more than that. I think he's an insider. I mean, he's played ball for a long time.
He's a big boy, and I think that there's a reason why even
taking get your shit out of the bank.
a mega. Well, even I'm talking about just markets, because again, the position that he unloaded in Apple, and the cash that he has raised is enormous. And I think that for somebody who is so smart for something in the equities market, for him to be going to such an enormous cash position, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that, listen, generally speaking, if you want to make a lot of good money, you follow some of the smartest people out there.
Not only that, I mean, he's the greatest value investor of all time. He sees no value.
Correct. Well, there isn't. I mean, if we look back at the 29 crash, the 87 crash, 08, and now the S&P is extraordinarily rich. I mean, extraordinarily. We're going, I think back in 29, it was like at 16 times earnings. I think in 87, it was right around 20. And I might be wrong on these numbers, but I know that right now, the PE on the S&P is sitting just at around 30. And now it's probably even great.
Back in the day, value investors wouldn't buy stocks unless they traded at a single digit price earnings ratio and paid a dividend of 5 or 6 or 7%.
Yeah.
The cumulative dividend yield on the S&P has got to be at 1% or less, and when you're talking a 30 PE, you're historically overvalued with nothing in the way of dividends. And if you look at the way real money was made in stocks, it's always been through the reinvestment of dividends, less the appreciation of the indices. And so, yeah, the risk reward is not there. Maybe that's what he's telling you, and especially Bank of America, that's a scary one. Certainly, if you wanted to ignite the consolidation fuse, you let a bank like B of A fail and say 50% of uninsured assets are now dead and gone. Hey, gold's up $9.50 right now. Hold your breath.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, one of my clients called today and said that they had a fair amount of money in their 401k, and they said, "Well, what do you think I have more risk in, keeping my money in equities or having it in silver and gold?" And I said, well, to answer your question, I'll ask you a question. If a building was on fire and you had to jump, would you rather jump out of the 100th story, which being the equity markets, in my opinion, or the basement? And that was my answer. And I truly believe that. I think that there's very limited downside in metals where we are right now. And I think, as Andy said, I think silver is probably the single most undervalued asset that exists. But again, do your own due diligence.
Well, none of that. Think about this, and you're right. But if you're a commercial bank who's been getting your ass handed to you short in London in the US, and you have an opportunity to play this euphoria and to smash the hell out of the price just to push the ball down the hill, and then everyone else jumps on board to short the managed money who's been driving the price higher for the last year, bails, they reallocate to risk on, and it allows the price to free fall, and the commercial banks then cover. And if you look at I guarantee you, if you look at the numbers that will come out at the end of the week for the commitment of traders report, it will show a repositioning where commercial banks are going long and probably managed money going short. That's the setup you want to see the price much higher. I've wondered how they would get out of these prices, and this is out of these short positions, and this is exactly what they've done. But if it is true to form the way that it has been, it should, I think, find equilibrium with buying power coming out of the East and the global South to look at this as a subsidy the way most people should. But I would not be surprised to see it fall more. I wouldn't. I think you could see gold go to 25.50 and still be, have had an amazing run for the year. Markets don't go straight up. They need to exhale. They need to blow off that.
There needs to be back and fills. That's what we have to in finance. That's what you always have to see. Nothing ever goes straight up, and it's only healthy for them to pull back. So I know everyone wants silver and gold to be 3,000, silver to be at 50. As do I. But you don't want it just going from 30 to 50. It's not a healthy move. You want there to be some people in there selling, bringing it back down, having a new crop of buyers coming in, and then making its move. It's just a healthy way of doing it.
By the way, great, Nate. I will be having Keith Newmeyer on my show in the next few weeks, I'll ask them that question about nationalization. And I think that's always been a concern. It would really benefit mining companies in the United States. The Trump administration, I could see that being a big boon. Finding companies that are mining in the U.S. might not be a bad idea, but yeah, you could see countries like even like Mexico. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mexico did that with nickel. I think, or some other. I think it was nickel. I'm not sure, but I think so. But it's not something to.
I think it was nickel.
I think so. Definitely nickel.
Yeah, definitely nickel.
Anyways, that's that. Do I recommend grading a monster box since there is an average of 40 per box? An average of what, 40 MS70s? Is that what he's saying? I think probably what he's saying. So no, I don't. And I kind of told this story on one of my podcasts today. I won't mention the name of the person, nor will I mention the company that let's just say it's either PCGS or NGC. And he is someone who's very high up in the company. And I asked him, I said, what do you think about modern minted certified coins? He said, it's lipstick on a pig. He says, it's the dumbest thing ever. He said, but we make a ton of money, so I won't turn it down. If someone were to
we're talking about modern day proofs.
Yeah, no, he's saying you send us, I think what he's saying is there's 40 MS70s in the box, and I think that's
you're talking about sending.
That's about right. That's about 10%. The rest would be MS69. When they're going to charge you $20-$30 a coin or more to do that, it's too expensive. It's not worth it. And unless you tell them only do the 70s, I guess you could. But I don't know. If with MS69s, there are plenty of times where we will send people MS69 gold eagles at the same price as regular commercial strikes if we're short on the commercial strikes, and people think it's the greatest deal in the world, but it isn't. It's the dealers don't care about 69s or about first strikes. MS70s, I guess you could argue, but to me it seems like a bigger pain in the butt than it's worth.
Even still, I mean, bids on them are not wonderful on the MS70s. Even with those, they're not. No, they're not. We're not going after those. That's for
so.
Sure.
Does the Fed back big commercial? So I don't know if they're going to do that or not. I mean, the law says otherwise, but they've proven that the too big to fail banks will be protected. They did that with Silicon and Signature. They said they were too big to fail. And
Sasha's in the back.
Sasha,
Sasha wants to come say hi.
You can't say.
You could, but you could come say hi.
Well, come say hi.
All right.
This is my
very proud
Sasha.
Moment. Say hi, Sasha. That's okay.
So
cute.
They've proven by the way, if those of you who heard how my house was flooded before by my daughter, that's the one who flooded my house.
It wasn't me. It was my friend.
Yeah, her friend, right? On New Year's Eve.
Right.
New Year's Day, waking up to a shower coming out of the ceiling of my guest bedroom from her bedroom upstairs was really a bummer way to start 2024.
Yeah.
Anyways.
By the way, that's how I'm ending mine.
Yeah, I know better you than me.
Great. I know. Thanks.
But yeah, they've proven that the banks that are too big to fail will be bailed out, and if he rolls back, which he's talking about, rolling back the these regulations on the banks, they will get even stupider with their risk taking. So yes, I would say there's a high probability that will happen. Drunk guy, but yes, it was New Year's. Yes, she was, and
maybe we don't. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, I guarantee it. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yes. What was John? Did you have another question up there?
But for the naked short sale losses, they better not do that. That one's a little bit different. I don't know, because I don't know. That's a good one. I mean, it could literally blow up the whole banking system if a bank like JP or Deutsche Bank, or what if it's Deutsche Bank? Are they going to bail out Deutsche Bank? Or what if it's Standard Chartered? Or what if it's UBS? Are they all going to get bailed out?
Credit Suisse was in that position.
Well, and that's why UBS bought them.
Right.
They were forced to.
Correct.
Basically, because it was too systemic.
Yep.
And so this whole systemic nature, look, this is what they're trying to do, is to, I believe, blow up the regional banks, to create a panic in the regional banks and funnel everyone to a handful of the big commercial banks that are too big to fail, because if you issue a CBDC, it's a whole hell of a lot easier to do so from the Fed with a handful of commercial banks that do all of the mortgages and the loans and whatnot, rather than 5,000 regional banks. So expect volatility in the banks. And I think this is something that is a black swan that people have forgotten about. And the lack of reporting on Lindsay Bank in Oklahoma is something that I find very disturbing. And I look at that as kind of a sign of something to come, where they'll now blow out a bigger bank and say, hey, it was obvious, it was there for everyone to see.
A domino effect is what's going to happen.
Right. So, but yeah, the big banks, I don't know if that will be something that they'll bail out or a trigger. I don't know, but I would expect the too big to fail banks to be bailed out again at the expense of the little ones, and all of that money that is captured probably goes back to the FDIC to help bail out the bigger ones.
Somebody put up there that the hypersonic missiles have 5,000 ounces of silver.
I don't know. Well, it wouldn't surprise me. John Little of the Pickaxe and silverwars.org has done an amazing job of documenting and in a chronological fashion the use of silver in military and the pulling out of silver out of the reporting by the military and by the Silver Institute. He's done an amazing job. And how else do you explain 8 banks shorting the price of silver the way that they are? And I was talking with a guy named Ira Harris, who will be on my show down the road, and he worked at the CME. He's an old timer, and he knew Jim Sinclair and his father. And I asked him, do you think it's manipulated? And we got into this long conversation, which I'm going to bring him on and talk about this. But he said the biggest change now is the rise of all of these sovereign wealth funds. They're massive. And I said, not only are they massive, they're coordinated, they're motivated, and they're sophisticated, and they're standing for delivery. So these 8 banks have been holding down the price of silver to the tune of the largest concentrated short position on COMEX and 4 to 6 billion ounces short on the LBMA, so that they can make hypersonic missiles, so that they can make these missiles and aerospace and stealth bombers and all this stuff that needs silver, and sell it all around the world to fund wars. That's the only thing that I can think of why you would have 8 banks as dumb as a mud wall in a hurricane, trying to hold back the price of silver right now when these countries are standing for delivery.
Bruce, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, Andy and I actually fairly frequent the ranges and make sure that the weapons are cleaned extremely well, because he has a daughter.
I have 2.
He's got 2 daughters. I have a daughter, and we're very used to asking the question of what are your intentions, and better be a good answer. Yeah.
I used to always think it was funny when I would say to my friends with daughters, we would be playing golf or something, and I'd say off like a prom dress. Until I had 2 daughters and they went to prom, it became far less funny to me. So I guess what goes around comes around.
Yeah, it was like that whole saying.
I have not seen the debt clock recently. What am I missing? Not Soul Keeper. I mean, I've seen the debt clock, but I haven't.
I know the one thing that you'll see.
I think he's probably, if I had to guess, he's talking about the 500 to 1,
450 to 1 paper to physical.
Yeah, that sounds about
that
right.
was the biggest change that I've seen in a long time. Yeah.
Do you put silver in your milk and dairy products?
That would probably be a little bit of a problem for digestion.
I haven't done that, brother. But you should send me something on that so I can understand it.
Cryptic Gamer says it's 409 to 1. I think depending on where you're reading is how you'll find the differential between what the physical to paper is. Well, it's somewhere around there.
It would be great if I could get nominated. I think I've seen conflicting reports, but I think Kash Patel was appointed to run the CIA. Now I've seen something else that looks. No, it wasn't. It was him?
No.
Yeah, I thought it was. Originally, I read something that said he.
What's his name?
Who?
You'll never believe it.
Are you talking about the Secretary of Defense?
No, the CIA.
No.
Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, Pete Hegseth is Secretary of Defense.
That's a good one, actually. I like Pete.
And Bruce Gustafson said Trump names Elon Musk and Vivek to lead the Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, we just saw that came out.
Yes.
Who are we looking for?
So I thought it was Cash Patel, but it's not. I've done.
John Radcliffe.
Yeah, John Radcliffe. I did a podcast with Cash, and he's a smart dude. I was going to say, and I know the head of the CIA, but I guess I don't anymore.
You're being out.
Dug out at BU non-government box. So those are non-government. So those are not the what are those called? Those were cool. I have one of those the Morgan Carson City Morgans that came out of the government hoard. So yeah, I mean the CCs are phenomenal. Any BU Morgans are phenomenal. If I had one silver coin to own, that would be it. And the 40% Kennedy halves are cool. They're a little heavy. I like the 90% better, but yeah.
Yeah, dimes are getting very difficult. Crypto Gamer, very difficult. We put a moratorium a few weeks back on requesting only dimes for the 90% junk. I think that we got a bunch in, but I'll tell you, when it comes to the 90%, as fast as we get them in, we generally sell out of them. So if you want them, at least put an inquiry in for the dimes.
Hey, Maurice, you want me to send you a link and you can come on and tell us about I haven't heard about the liquidity crisis in Bolivia, but if you're feeling game, I'd have you come on.
I want you to answer this one. What do you think? This is a good one. Let's see. Stump the buoy.
I don't know, man. I mean, look, I think on a larger scale, that's what the managed money is doing. Should you? That's a personal decision. If you ask some people, they would say yes. You ask someone like Mark Moss, who's very, very, very smart guy, he would say yes. Who's to say he's wrong? Yep. Far be it for me to try and read the future. I would just.
Tiffy, I think that I wish you would have asked the question when Bitcoin was at 5,000 or 20,000.
Yeah.
Certainly would have had a lot more here at 88,000.
That's a good point, Kevin. You're selling low and buying high.
Yeah, I mean, that's you're getting out of one asset at what I think is literally the ground floor, and I think that you're getting into one that many can kind of perceive right now at the ceiling, or at least a temporary ceiling. So again, not financial advice. That's not what we're here to do. But I think that when you're talking about value, the one thing about Bitcoin again is it is just a store of value, and there's no utility to it. Where, of course, there is plenty of utility when it comes to silver. So, do your own research, do your own due diligence, make your own decision. If you're unsure, sell half your monster box and buy half of what it is in Bitcoin, and that way you have both sides of the trade covered.
I'm going to get some more of those Miles Franklin canvas bags. I was alerted that we weren't sending them out anymore by one of my employees the other day, and I'm not happy about that. Someone said they came in a big plastic bag.
Yeah, and we also want to probably do something about. We were looking into the rounds.
Yeah.
For the minis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. If you want to drop me an email, Andy at Miles Franklin, I will make sure that you get a canvas.
Oh, you know what I think we should talk about?
That
was kind of a revelation.
What's that?
The new ruling that we kind of got on the rounds.
Are we allowed to do that?
I mean, I think that we are. I think that.
Well, you can do it that way. It's your ass, not mine.
Well, I think that's what it was.
See how brave you are, Queens.
I mean, I'm brave. I'm there's no Miles, House, or Franklin. So, so we just got notification that it used to be that when you sold 1,000 ounces of bars or rounds, Miles Franklin as a dealer had to report a 1099B as a dealer. New ruling.
How many did you say?
1,000 ounces.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you testing me?
Mm-hmm.
Did I pass?
Don't know. We'll see.
All
I'm
right.
not done yet.
Okay. New regulations state that you do not need to report anything over 1,000 ounces in rounds. Bars, however, you still do. Anything that is acceptable to be considered a settled transaction with the Commodities Future Exchange does require us to file a 1099B, but rounds no longer need to be reported as a 1099B from the dealer, regardless of size.
Sounds about right.
All right. How'd I do?
But isn't
Yes.
junk silver in that too?
Junk silver is in there too. It used to be that 90% was mandatory reportable, 1,000 face value, 715 ounces. And now that is no longer reportable as well. So something, again, as the price of silver starts to increase and you do want to sell, it used to be something that was maybe causing a hesitation for people to do so all in one transaction. And now it really doesn't have to sway your decision at all. So something that's good to know.
Yeah, most stuff doesn't trigger reporting.
Yeah, and the sovereigns, again, contrary to what somebody said on a call with us, but I'm fairly set. Yeah.
That was annoying, actually.
Yeah, I know, very. Yes, it is going to be my ass if that is wrong.
What?
Yeah.
Did you guys answer this question
Michael,
about silver?
Badonga.
Gonna be your ass tattoo.
I'm going to answer this.
When
What?
silver goes parabolic, where will we see large amount? Where will we see large amounts of silver?
We'll buy anything you want to sell.
That's it.
I mean, so, and any dealer that hedges will be able to do that. So we've yet to never honor a buyback. So if people want to sell regardless of the price, look, I was doing this when gold was $250 and silver was $3 and $4. So from that standpoint, if you're asking the 19-year-old and 20-year-old Andy, it is parabolic. So we will always be able to do that.
And by the way, when silver gets to a level that even you or whoever else it is considers parabolic, contrary to what many people believe, there will still always be buyers. There will always be buyers. There will always be sellers, the same way as there is right now for Bitcoin. People would say when it was 50,000, who the hell is going to buy Bitcoin at 50,000? Well, now at 88,000, clearly a lot more people were buying than selling. So, and that still doesn't change tonight. So, again, any thoughts on commemorative 40% gold?
Don't like it.
Me neither.
I think liquidity is important. And if you can't show someone a coin and tell them how much gold is in it right away and have them not look at you cross-eyed, it defeats the purpose. I mean, we'd always buy it and, we know that stuff, but
for a price though,
a lot of people don't. And there's something called the cost of carry.
Yep.
And the cost of carry says, if I hold something, I buy it from you and no one's going to buy it and it sits on my shelf collecting dust, that is a cost to me where I could be using it to buy things that people are buying. So dealers will bid probably 99% of melt and melt it down. So if you get a really good deal on it, fine, but I think you're better off sticking with, if you like American coins, stick with even at the first spouse coins or some of the coins that the mint makes that are pure gold or whatever. That would be preferred to me.
Father Duck, we will be getting any and every of the new allocations of 2025. It's just a matter of when they ship out and when we get them, but we will have them fairly shortly. We'll have the kangaroos, the Phils, the Brits. We'll have everything that you want.
I could look.
But,
I might have that information. You can keep
asking. When we're getting it?
Yeah.
Okay. A little platinum less.
Let me see.
Will silver ever break out due to the military need? I don't think that it's going to just be a military need that's going to break silver out. I think that we're now on a 4-year deficit running. Military doesn't even get factored into that equation when we're talking about it. So I think that, we're right now, silver has broken out, certainly in my opinion. I think that we've seen a huge run. 40% this year alone, even at 31 right now, the futures market showing that we're up almost around 30 cents, back over 31.
The 2025 kangaroos are not even on the primary distributor's website.
Yeah, no, it's not. When we spoke to
They're
them,
just 2024.
We're not getting any. We probably won't get, even I think the Maples and the Eagles aren't even supposed to come in until first or second week in January, maybe?
The Maples are actually,
No, I think they're
the
shipping.
2025 Maples are in.
They're being shipped out with us. I think
Yeah.
they're being shipped out second week in December is when we're going to be getting ours. So, and we're not even really taking any orders, pre-order for them. No need to do it.
So the platinum Maples sold out awaiting ETA from RCM, the 2025s. That was my point.
Yep.
When the people that I talked to wanted these, there were two separate people who wanted large platinum orders, and I had to buy them last week, like immediately. Like, you got to buy it today or you're not going to get it. That's how limited the supply is. So looking at maybe the third largest distributor in North America, they're sold out of 2025 platinum coins, and it's not even 2025 yet.
Call Justin. I don't know if we're taking pre-orders on them. I don't think that we are. But
I think we could probably, I think we can, and we'll have to talk to and see how.
to Matt,
Yeah, you just buy the metal basically.
Right.
If you want to pre-buy them, you can buy today's spot price, and we can lock that in. And then as soon as they come in, we might not even know what
we just need to make sure it's within the 30 days. That's the only problem. If we don't take delivery within 30.
And I don't know how that works on just locking the spot.
I
But
know.
call Justin; he'll figure that out. But it's doable, I think.
What I just saw, there was another question on there. Make money precious metals again. I like that one. We'll have those hats made. John, I just took one down. I'm sorry. Would you? I think that you.
I don't know where it went.
Okay. Anyone else see what Trump just put out about Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency? Dogecoin. That's a coincidental
interesting.
acronym, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Jake, I just talked with Edward Griffin, and I'm going to do something with the show, but the show will not be in Oklahoma. It's for whatever reason, he's doing it virtual now, so I don't get to see you this time, buddy, but hopefully soon.
Great.
The Red
Nate.
Pill show.
Yeah, we love Richard. Richard, what's doing?
No, I would not bail on mining shares. I think he'll actually be good for mining. I just think you need to own them in the proper capacity, whereby it's at the top of your pyramid, the top 10%. It's an asset that if you lose everything, you don't lose sleep. If you have them as a replacement to gold on the bottom portion of your financial pyramid, it's misplaced. I think they offer tremendous potential, but you don't need to, you shouldn't confuse them with owning the physical. So no, I think you should own some.
PH, if you're rolling over your 401k, what percentage of gold and silver and platinum would you consider?
I personally would consider mostly silver and maybe platinum, with the intention of switching the silver to gold, most of it, when the ratio corrects. It's a free, tax-free way of switching, playing that ratio. Silver is massively undervalued from a standpoint of risk versus reward. It's way out of whack. The risk is far less than the potential reward, and then you can play the ratio and switch it to gold with no tax issue, no storage issue, and then take possession of the gold. The platinum, just buy it and hold it.
Yeah, and again, you don't have to worry about it in the IRA because generally they're contracted rates at the depository, so you're not getting charged really anymore for holding silver, gold, or platinum in that size. It's generally always based on the amount that you invest in with the custodian.
Asset value.
Yeah. So if it's, for one that we deal with in terms of whether it's New Direction and IDS Dallas, it's usually $150,000 above or below. Below is $175 a year. Above is $225. So it's a $50 differential, whether you have 3,000 ounces or you have 350,000 ounces. Although they probably would bitch if
I think if they didn't, I'd have an issue.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a contracted rate, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's a great way to do it, as Andrew was talking about. Are colorized eagles from 2012 worth less than non-colorized?
Never seen a colorized eagle, and that's aftermarket. So, I think you could argue that it is worth less from a dealer standpoint, because if you received a colorized eagle from me and you bought regular ones, you'd probably be really pissed off.
Yeah.
So, I think it's one of these deals where it's more of a novelty. It's an ounce of silver, but it's no longer an uncirculated silver eagle.
Let's see.
So I like that question.
Yeah, I want to see how you answer this one.
I think you can take very seriously her. First of all, I hope she gets nominated to the Fed Governor Board. She won't be nominated to replace Powell because he's still got 2 years left, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be nice to see her on the board. Her her idea is to sell 30-year treasuries at a lower coupon rate than the current ones, but have them redeemable in gold. And I think that's a novel idea in a world where the U.S. has lost a good deal of trust, and the issue of inflation eroding the value of the Treasury. I think it's a hell of an idea. It should gain traction if she makes it to the Fed board. Then yeah, I think it's something that is a great idea. How else do you get anyone stupid enough to hold a 30-year Treasury, paying 4.5%? You got to be out of your damn mind to do so. Think of what $1,000 was worth 30 years ago versus what it's worth today. And so if you're only getting 4%, 4.5% for 30 years, you're out of your mind. Inflation is already 2 to 3 times that. They're just lying about it on the CPI. So yeah, I think it's cool. I hope it happens. It's a great idea. It would rekindle interest in our Treasury market for sure.
I noticed a severe knowledge gap in the legality of silver in the past. It seems like the knowledge of money was hidden from many today.
Have you people like that surprised have never seen a painted coin?
Well, I've seen a painted coin.
It's just not coming from the mint. It's an aftermarket.
Yeah, it's an aftermarket. The mint does not make painted coins. I've seen them. They're
It's
cool.
like the Trump bars that we just got.
Yeah.
The colorized Trump
Yeah,
bars.
but that was made by the mint and the refiner, not by the U.S. Mint. Well, so if you take a dime, it's got roughly 20 times its face value in it. So the real value of money, you take the silver out of the money, and that it's lost 20 times its value or more.
Who's that guy?
That's Jake. That's me.
No, that's you.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's your thoughts on if Trump rolls the Fed Reserve into the Treasury? That would be a bad thing. Jake, my man, they kind of tried to do that during the pandemic, but they would love that. The monetary and the fiscal policy all under one roof would be something. And you can see what happened. There's this delineation that I think Powell really tried to hammer home when asked if you would step down if Trump asked you to, and he said no. It's a independent, non-federal, non-reserve group of bankers that have their own agenda, but it would be difficult to do. I think I doubt it will happen. But if it does happen, it would be at the behest of the Federal Reserve and the bankers behind it, and less the government would be acquiescing to it. Maybe a puppet would do this, but I can't see how they would do that. I mean, on one hand, the Fed should be abolished, but that's not going to happen. On the other hand, if it somehow is melded with the Treasury, that's not good at all, because the Fed does not have the ability to do things that the Treasury does, and the Treasury doesn't have the ability to do things that the Fed does, and that was done specifically to keep a balance
of power.
And so you put them together, and it wouldn't be good for the state of the dollar as far as I'm concerned. So I don't think it will happen, but I guess we'll have to see. I would rather see the Fed audited first and foremost, and then
we could throw in a Fort Knox audit. That'd be nice.
And maybe abolished, but these are all probably pipe dreams.
You're gonna have Ron Paul on one of your podcasts.
I'd love to have Ron Paul on one of my podcasts.
Yeah, he's a spokesman for one of them. You can call one of our.
I bet we could get a hold of Ron Paul. We got some cool ones coming. I'm doing Vince Lancy tomorrow. I'm doing Simon Hunt tomorrow. I did Manarino today. We've got Bill Holter coming up, Robert Kiyosaki coming up. We got a lot of really good ones coming up. Alistair McLeod,
Simon Hunt, Vince,
Bald Money Guy,
Yeah.
Mike Barra from the Y Files. I got a lot of good ones.
Holter, Kiyosaki,
Yeah. Sean Kuhn from Dolly Varden, Joe Brown from Heresy Financial. Chris Powell from GATA. We all owe Chris Powell and Bill Murphy a debt of gratitude. If you own gold and silver, you owe a debt of gratitude to Chris Powell and to Bill Murphy from GATA, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee. I'm excited to have him on. Yeah, my dad wants to come on in December. I'm going to have
That's going to be a good one.
December 17th.
I should probably let my son drop in and say hello too for 3 generations of us, which kind of blows me away because my son is 5 years older than I was when I started in this industry, which is really kind of nuts. And my dad, I'm going to have a discussion with my father as to what is and what
is okay to
Yeah.
ask.
That'll be a good one, actually.
Let's see. If the audit reveals less or no gold in the vault, what does that mean for the price and accessibility?
Well, that's probably why there won't be an audit.
Correct.
And if it were, it would be staged somehow because a lot of people think that they've leased all that gold out into the market to support the illusion of the strength of our bond market and our dollar. So that's probably why they never audited it.
No, Andy, why don't you ask who they want you to have on the show?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Who do you guys out there, who do you want? Who would you like to see Andy interview? That's a good question.
I've been really actually surprised that just about everyone I've asked has come on, except that guy from Australia who asked my staff how much money we have, which was really a bummer because I like him. Michael something. What's his name?
Australian
Guy from
Flip, Cowan.
Michael Cowan, and I was bummed about that because
Yeah.
I like him, but now he's dropped a notch
Yeah.
on my.
Is Michelle going to come on?
I asked Michelle McCoy from Kitco. She has to run it by Kitco.
Yeah.
I think she will. I'm on Andrew McGuire's show tomorrow. I think I want to get him to come on.
You should have. I mean, you should have, because I know that you go on Jason's, but you should probably have Jason on from Glint.
I've already recorded one with Jason, and we were going to make that announcement,
Yeah.
but we haven't released it yet.
Got it.
So Jason Cousins from Glint,
Yeah.
we'll have him on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on with Clay Clark on Friday. Clay's very close to the tip of the spear. Every time I've done an interview with Kash Patel or General Flynn, it's been with him or Trump's lead counsel. It's been on Clay Clark's show. Clay Clark is a show everyone should check out. The dude's awesome, really smart, really connected.
I'd like Andy to get on with Anthony Pompliano. I'd like to see a little bit of.
He'd destroy me though, because I don't know Bitcoin.
There's no district. It's not a matter of destroying. It's a matter of, I think that he probably would see and does see the benefits to physical along with digital. I don't think, like you said, it's not a matter of one or the other. I think that there is room for both. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised.
All right.
That's
I'll
what I
invite
think.
him on.
Yeah, we got to try and get to him.
Joe Rogan? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. I'd love to get Joe Rogan
I'd
on.
like to get Mike Tyson on after
Tim
he
Walls.
beats the piss
Tell
out
him what
of
an
this Jake
idiot
Paul
is.
guy.
Who?
I'd like to get Mike Tyson on after he beats the piss out of this Jake Paul guy.
Isn't that coming up?
The Friday. Yeah, he does. Well, she plays tennis there. But yeah, he fights Jake Paul on Friday night.
I'll have to watch that.
I know. I just bet on it.
I used to remember being in high school and college and we'd watch everyone would get together and we'd pay to watch the pay-per-view and it would last 8 seconds.
Not even. Well, there's the other match on Friday is the two women, and it's a rematch of 2022, and that was considered possibly one of the greatest female fights of all time, and this is the rematch. I mean, my guess is Tyson and Jake Paul doesn't start until midnight.
You're sleeping by then usually, aren't you?
Way sleeping by then, but this time I won't be.
I'll be up for the next 4 hours.
Because it was like a plus 225 to bet on Tyson, and then if Tyson knocks him out, it was like a plus 350. So I said, you know what? I grew up watching Mike Tyson, and he was the scariest human being like ever. Like, did you ever think anyone would get into a ring with Tyson and win? Like growing up, did you really think that no matter who it was fighting Tyson?
No, we used to say if you can last around,
right?
Yeah.
It's funny because when we played the other day, someone said, "Would you get into the ring with Mike Tyson for $40 million?" I said, "I'd get into the ring with anyone for $40 million." I just dropped. They said, "No. You have to actually take his punch." I said, "I don't think that if I took his punch, I'd ever get up. That would just go to my family. So it really wouldn't be fun."
Great, Nate. I have 19 podcasts this week, 18 or 19, because I have one Friday morning with Clay Clark. I usually play golf on Fridays, and I am this Friday, but I said I would do it with him real early so I can still do it. I have 19. It usually isn't that crazy. I did 21 last week, but normally it's not that bad. My wife is telling me I really need to stop doing so many. So
I think that, you need to just be a little bit more, I think, selective. I think that, you work too hard.
yeah,
All
it's
work
hard
and
for
no
me
play.
to say no.
All work and no play makes Andy a dull boy.
Yeah.
And clearly, I think we all know that Andy does need to work on his golf game.
Yeah, I do. Although I beat you the other day.
I had 107 fever, and I only had one hand.
He's just
But that's
lying,
okay.
Man.
It's okay.
He's just lying.
It's
I
okay.
beat him yesterday.
I did. I had.
You should take me on a nice trip or cruise.
I should.
Oh, well, you're going to Europe in March. That doesn't sound very good. Wow, did you just hear that? That was such a ugh. I mean, I might even meet you.
Well, that makes it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going skiing. Yeah, I'm going skiing. So
We're
that should
going
be good.
skiing,
Yeah,
and that's good.
yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask is, if Miles Franklin did our own symposium, how many of you out there would want to join? That's what I want to know. If you can write that into info@milesfranklin.com, that's going to help us out quite a bit.
Let's take a couple more questions.
Yep.
I know that
you're
still got to
almost-
prepare, man. I
know.
got such a long day
We're
tomorrow.
already over an hour. Let's get a couple more in there, and then we'll let Andy go to bed.
No,
because-
Andy's got to go to work. I got to figure
Yeah.
out what I'm going to say to Simon Hunt. At least I know he likes the bricks, and he's a bricks advocate. So I'm going to talk to him. But
All right, Father Duck, we got
Vince
one.
Lancy's not an easy one.
All right. What's your thoughts regarding Austrian economics versus Keynesian economics? Which one is our future, in your opinion? Let's put
Well,
that
there
one
is
there.
no comparison. I mean, Keynesian economics is what the failed experiment we're living in right now, which is in a very basic sense, spending and taxation and debt, government intervention. It's a system. It's like the straw house, whereas in the Three Pigs, whereas Austrian economics is about savings, investment, and reinvestment. It's about sound money, and with Keynesian economics, it's not about savings. It's about extension of debt, spending, having the government come in to stimulate the economy through spending. That's hopefully a failed experiment, but I don't know if we'll ever be able to move the Western world into into Austrian economics. But we should all use Austrian economics in the way we run our lives, with savings, with investment, with reinvestment, and to save more than you consume, rather than to consume more than you save, which is kind of the way that we are right now.
So this is probably the most important question anyone's asked so far on the live Q&A. How cool are our wives? Our wives are the coolest.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, Andy's is sitting right over there. Mine is home. Yeah, they're the coolest. And if we answered any differently, it would be a big problem for us. So the coolest. Yes, right?
Yes.
1000% the coolest.
Oh my God, you are the coolest.
And Andy's wife and my wife happen to be extremely close friends. So it works out wonderfully. And
actually, she is pretty cool. I'll give her credit.
She's very cool. You're talking about your wife or mine?
Mine.
Oh, yeah, but
Oh.
yeah,
Yours
your
is
wife is,
cool,
yeah,
too.
no, I was just going to say, John.
My wife was a
Great.
rocker, so she was cool. She toured with rock bands for a long time. So there's nothing I can do that freaks her out, short of leaving the toilet seat open or jumping into bed without taking a shower. That's pretty much grounds for divorce.
Great, Nate. Yes, my wife, I think at last count, probably has. I should know this, but I don't. How many tattoos my wife has? 1, 2. She probably has about 13, is my guess. Somewhere between 10 and 13. When I go home, I'll check and get a final count. But yeah, it's.
I was with her when she got her last.
Yeah, and me.
And
Yeah.
and I got you made me.
And I
get
tried
one.
to show everyone, but I like have that problem because of where I'm sitting.
Yeah,
I can't move my arm that way. But yes, I got one when I made.
he made me.
Or as Andy would say, as I made, with his elbow.
He made me do
faux
it.
pas.
I got a tattoo, and he made me.
And
do
we
it.
were all late
But I
for
like
dinner
it.
because of it. But yeah, so we went to Amsterdam. We all got some ink, and I made an addition to my arm. I put the area code of where I grew up in Queens,
Except
New York.
they did it wrong.
No, they didn't do it wrong. I thought
better
they were
look
going
at
to.
it.
But if you remember,
Oh, tell the story.
if you remember, so when we went, this is very
Oh, this is
This
weird.
is weird, very weird. So we walk into the tattoo parlor in Amsterdam, and it's actually a very cool thing that they do. It was the first time that I've done this with all the tattoos that I have, and I have quite a bit. They actually take a picture of what you want, and they basically superimpose it onto your arm or your leg or wherever it is. They show you how it would actually look on the computer. And you get to change the font, the size, anything like that. And the gentleman asked me if this was the font that I wanted to use. And the font that he brought up was a date. And that date happened to have been my exact birthday with my exact year. And I asked him, I said, did I give you my license? He said, no. I said, how did you know that that's the date? He said, how do I know what's the date? I said, that is, I mean, what are the, I mean, you're certainly better, I think, at math than I am, but
Those are good odds. You should have bought a Powerball ticket that day.
I
you
should,
idiot.
well, it's Amsterdam. Where was I going to Powerball?
I'm sure
in
there's
Amsterdam?
a Powerball ticket in Amsterdam. They probably have the Amsterdam
Yeah, I
lottery.
don't know. We went to the casino. That didn't help us.
No, that's not much of a casino.
Yeah, it wasn't. The high rollers pit was $10.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was very, very awkward. It was kind of freaked me out for a little bit. So I think that's why mixed nuts. It's very difficult to be a Jets fan. Very difficult to be a Giants fan also. It's tough. New York has not been very representative. So, but
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt.
no,
you.
that's okay.
We
But
will
are you
work.
really?
I've already signed a contract with Rick. Rick has done a lot for me. Rick is someone that I hold in the highest of esteem. I've worked with his clients for 20 years or longer when he was at Global Resource. And before that, then after that, Sprott. I speak at all his conferences. I love Rick. In fact, he's having an online gold class or something that I'm going to be doing here in the near future. And so, yes, I've already signed paperwork, and I will be working with Rick and Battle Bank.
All right, we'll take one more, and then I think you got to get back to work, and I have to probably.
Don't go, Kevin. I
I
need a friend.
I don't know, that should be that should be the tagline.
Maybe
Please
I should
don't
get a tattoo that says, I trade in rock and roll unique collectibles Vikings fan here. I love you, Pistol Pete. Love that, man. I love rock and roll collectibles. And as you can
He
see,
definitely loves the
the
Vikings.
Sebastian Kruger art there.
Well,
Yeah, I got the signed guitars. I got the Sebastian Kruger rock and roll art, the David Bowie over there, Jimi Hendrix and Mick Jagger. Oh, here, I'll show you some. Want to see something cool? I can prove my wife was cool.
He just can't prove that he was cool.
No.
God, do I love busting his balls.
These are all her backstage passes.
That's a lot of passes.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Slipknot.
Miles Franklin,
Oh, Miles Franklin.
backstage.
Yeah, she was a tour manager for Slipknot.
Oh boy.
Let's see if here's what she looked like back then. You see that? That's what she looked like back then when she was the rocker girl.
She was the rock
That's a
star.
LFO, All Access. Who the hell is LFO?
It was a girl band.
A girl band.
Oh,
Mhm.
girl band. All right. We like girl bands.
Oh my gosh.
What?
This guy, I was not a groupie.
Ooh,
She wasn't a groupie. She was a tour manager.
she was a tour manager. Yeah.
and production manager, and a really important person.
Someone wants to see the satchel page.
You have this notch page.
I do
Is
have
that
it.
in the case?
Yeah, but there's no way I can.
I think people
Open
just
that.
want to see you get up and sit down and get up and sit down.
I love Satchel Paige. I love my baseball cards.
Michael Church, Almost Famous, probably one of the best movies ever made, by far.
That was a good.
And great soundtrack.
What did they call those groupies?
Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boss lady. That's what we call her. Boss lady. That's it. All right. Well, I think, did you plant any mango trees?
No, but I have a mango tree. And let me tell you about this mango tree. It's gigantic. It's in our backyard. And I'd never eaten mangoes that I can even, I'm a fruit guy. I love fruit. And And the mangoes, they fall off the tree in the spring, late spring, early summer, and they taste like candy. I'm dead serious.
I don't think I've ever had mango.
They're ridiculous, and I've tried to go to the store.
That surprise you?
No, you're the weirdest freaking eater ever. This dude is the. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but I tried to go to the store and find mangoes all year long, and they don't taste like the ones that are on this gigantic tree that's probably been there for 100 years.
Hey.
They taste like candy. They're incredible. This dude is so hard to go out to eat with. It's unbelievable.
That's not true. That's not true.
Like he's the kind of guy that loves corn on the cob, but if it falls off the cob, won't touch it.
That's true.
You can't eat it.
That is true.
His favorite thing in the world is a French dip, but he's never had a roast beef sandwich. He's never had a cold cut sandwich.
That's true.
Ever.
That's true too.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're giving away all my traits.
He won't eat turkey
Nope.
on Thanksgiving. He eats
No,
lasagna.
Yeah. That's right.
Let's see what else is there.
I'm very happy that he knows me this well, though. I mean, I'm you know,
if you hold a pickle near him, it's as if you're holding a loaded gun with the hammer pulled back.
It is. Yeah.
If you get him like Chick-fil-A, or you stop and pick him up McDonald's or whatever it is, and there was a pickle on it, and you realize that you didn't do pickles off it, and you're like, shit, and you open up, you pull the pickle off, and
there's no pulling.
He'll know.
Off. Yeah,
he will know.
Yeah,
and
it's funny,
he
Jack
freaks out
Jack,
like it's the freakiest thing you've ever seen.
My son Jack, who works also at Miles Franklin, my daughter went to go visit him in Austin this weekend, and at the stadium they have a Chick-fil-A, but you can't order a sandwich made to order. It just comes
with the pickle on.
Right. And my daughter said, "Oh my God." Jack said, "Do you think Dad would eat it?" Jack said, 1,000% not.
If you were starving to death, would you?
I don't know. I'm not starving to death, clearly.
It's the weirdest thing.
Maggie
you
said
have no idea.
He would eat it. And Jack said, 1,000% I wouldn't eat it. They called me before on double FaceTime. They said, "Would you eat it?" And I said, "Absolutely not." I tell them I'm allergic to pickles, and to make me one with that one. That's it. I wouldn't eat it. The remnants of the smell. And
he does kind of have like the Force, like from Star Wars. Like it's the weirdest thing. Like that's why I call him the unicorn, because like he came over one day, and I'm dying for the pancake house. Great pancakes. And
hold on. I know that, Bo. I don't believe it, and I really try not to think about it.
Where? What?
That the chicken is marinated in pickles. I have heard that, but in my mind, I don't believe it. Go ahead. The pancake.
Anyways, I'm like, I got such and such. I got a podcast. I'll be done at 1:30. Okay, I'll wait for you. So he comes, and we drive to the place, and we get there at 2:01, and they've closed. Sorry, we're closed. And the nice guy from Minnesota had been like, "All right, thanks. See you next time." He says, "It's just pancake batter. Turn the griddle back on." And honest to God, they turned the damn thing back on. He's like, "Oh, okay." I gave him $100.
Right. That was very sweet of you. It was. And
I felt bad.
So
like,
unnecessary.
I mean, the guy was ready to go home. You're like, it's just pancake batter.
The Jedi mind trick.
Turn the griddle back on. That's like, these are not the droids you're looking for.
It was really good. It was a really good lunch. Yeah.
For you.
Good. Yeah. Well, for both of us.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. All right. Well, listen. It's now 9:20. We have lasagna.
Can you tell them about our special?
No.
Yes.
I am done.
Hold on. Let's see. The special tonight. The special for the day. Let me just put it up there. We have actually beautiful out of the Royal Mint. Lion and Eagle UK coins. They are spectacular. They truly are beautiful. They're 99 over spot. And we also have backdated silver fills at $3.09 over spot. Call the main number, info@milesfranklin for anything that you need. And we'll help you out. I know that things are getting harder and harder to source. I apologize for not having the variety. Yes, everything, of course. I apologize for not having the variety.
Your fault. It's always your damn fault.
Everything's always
his fault. He made me do this.
I did.
He made me get that tattoo.
I know.
That's why his name is Tattoo.
That's not bad.
No, it's not. But it sounds better.
I have up on the top of my house. I have like this crow's nest. I don't even know why the hell they built it. It's a chimney that is masquerading as a crow's nest. Like you know, the apocalypse comes, we'll be up there with the AR-15s pointing down the street.
Well, it's good to hold the AR on top to get a good look.
But that's where Kevin sits every day when the planes come by and he rings.
That's where I work from, right up there. All right, and every time it passes me, the plane, boss, the plane.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It's wonderful. It's a
gotta
great
tell him
view.
to shut up. If you,
It's a wonder. No, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
let me
the
show
other picture. Yeah. This is.
Oh, you know, maybe I can even.
Oh, what? Really? You want to be careful?
No, I'm
right
not
here?
going to do
You
that.
just want to be careful.
I'm
right
not
now.
going to do that.
Just saying.
Okay.
Just be careful.
Sasha made that. Let me see.
All right. Let's see.
I don't know if I can find it.
All right. So,
Yeah, text it to me because I can't find it.
as a matter of fact, Andy's son plays guitar and he's unbelievable. I actually just saw a TikTok, Josh. If you're listening, very, very impressed.
If you're not, your ass is grass, man.
Okay, but playing Dead, I loved it. It was great. And he's got a talent.
Sasha, send me that picture. Oh, well.
It's in the trash. Put it in the trash.
Because if I
You
can, I
threw
can
me
maybe
away.
put it. I can maybe put it
You
on
can.
here. I'll put it on here for
You
everyone
can.
to see.
Well, instead of showing your phone, I mean, it's better.
That's better.
Yeah. And you know me, I don't get embarrassed by anything. So
You really don't.
no, I don't.
Just kind of annoying.
Yeah. That's why I said if I lose, I wear a
Are you?
dress. No big deal.
Sending me it? You did?
Is that it? The top one?
Yes.
It's weird that it doesn't show the, you know how to do this now?
Okay,
There you
so
go.
let's do this.
You go to share
And
window,
then we're
right?
gonna share, present,
There you go.
share screen.
Window. There you go. Hope you don't have any text. No, that's not it. It's the picture that you had.
No, I don't want to
You
do
wanna
that.
show the
I don't
text,
want to
do you?
do that. No.
There.
Let me do this. Open. I
Right,
gotta
there you
open
go.
this. There we
There you
go.
go.
Now I'll do it.
That's it. Now go to that one.
Okay.
There you go.
There it is.
And by the way, I just want everyone to notice that Andy decided to use a picture of himself when he was about 22 years old, which by the way, he's still, if you notice all
God,
of
is
his,
that good?
if you notice his YouTube videos, and if you go through the pictorial, Andy's never aged. It's really wonderful. He has never
That is
aged
the
at all.
best damn
And
picture.
I'm very proud of myself. I think I look great. My hair is
Receding
delightful.
hairline.
And by the way, Tattoo's eyes got worse as the time goes on because Tattoo never used to wear glasses. God, do I have fun doing this?
Oh my God.
It
is that
really is just
beautiful.
unbelievable. I
I
love
mean,
it.
if that's not the most beautiful thing I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
and by the way, he spent more time on this than he did on preparing for the show. But that's all right. In any case, that's a great way to leave everyone tonight. So any questions for next week, please email them in to info@milesfranklin.com. Slam on that subscribe button, hit the like, tell all your friends about it, and we will see you same bat time.
Same bad channel.
There you go. All right, way to go, Robin.
You're Robin.
Oh, I forgot.
You're
All right, have a good night.
Bye, guys.